Hello and welcome to Grad Dialogue. This month my guest is Mark Snell. Mark is a kind of newcomer to Owensboro, but at the same time, Mark is originally from Owensboro. So let me give you a brief intro of Mark, and then we can chat about the economic development and what do we do in Owensboro and the greater Owensboro region. Mark, again, as I said, he's now the new president and CEO of the Greater Owensboro Economic Development Corporation. He began, I guess, in October of this year. He's a native of Owensboro, as I indicated. Also graduated from Owensboro Catholic High School, attended Bristol University, got a BA in government from Western Kentucky University, and graduated from UK College of Law, and also has been an editor-in-chief for the Kentucky Law Journal. I think the important piece to me is that he spent a year in grad, which is a great connection, and we are so proud that Mark has accomplished so many things.
The best year of my life.
There you go. So don't forget that. He was also a news director for WOMI and WBKR, and also the public affairs director. As I said, for the grad. From grad he went to the law school at the UK, and then also went and joined the Houston-based international law firm of Baker and Botts. He recently retired from BP PLE as a senior executive, and we are so honored to have him bring back to Owensboro, and also as CEO of GoEDC, which is one of the key organizations that affect the whole region, including Owensboro, Davis County. Mark, welcome on the Grad Dialogue, and also welcome back to Owensboro.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's
good to be home.
We are so thrilled that not only you came back, after you having a successful career in law and also international law, now you can help us lead into the century that we are looking forward to in economic development. So let's go start. You came in as a new CEO of EDC. Even though EDC is getting to be a common word we use and see in the newspapers and TV, but for the general population, tell us, what is economic development or EDC Corporation for this region, and what are your mission for that?
Yeah, a lot of people mean a lot of things when they talk about economic development. If you look at the International Economic Development Council, which is the trade association, the think tank, the resource for those of us in the profession, economic development basically is anything that is for the social or economic betterment of the community, which is a very broad agenda. It's an intimidating agenda if you think you're going to be head of it, right? I mean, it's quite a responsibility, but it's also is quite liberating in that it means that you're involved in virtually anything that goes on in the community. At least you should be, because everything that goes on in the community is either for the social or the economic or both benefit of the community. And so that's the basic definition of economic development. And then, of course, it gets more detailed from there.
So what enticed you to come back and then head the economic development? I know what you said it is true. It's not just getting the jobs. You got everything is involved and working together.
Yeah.
But you, as a Mark Snell, why you decided to leave the maybe flooded but not flooded, the beautiful Houston area, and come back to Owensboro?
Yeah, it's a great question, Jiten. I ask myself that sometimes, to be honest. I was fortunate to be very successful in the international business arena. I did business in about 33 different countries, and in each of those countries I found something that I liked, and I thought it would be great to be able to come back home to my home community, my home state, and to bring the best of everything I had seen around the world and try to implement it here if it made sense, working with the rest of the community. Obviously, we have a lot of community leaders in Owensboro, a lot of energy, a lot of determination, a lot of independence, which is a good thing. And I thought that for the next chapter of my career, I'd already done the legal part, I'd already done the corporate CEO part, and I thought, well, now I'm going to go back and be an economic development person, because really, I'd spent my entire career in economic development. It was just the consumer side of economic development. So I was building things as opposed to being the person who was providing the incentives or helping to build things.
So for EDC, just you mentioned about that as a CEO, you have your own board, and then you have certain goals that they wanted you to accomplish and everything like that.
Right.
Can you kind of mention on that, and then kind of talk about how does it compare jumping, or at least you feel at the present time, jumping from private sector to a semi-public sector, in a sense where there are so many people involved in making a decision of what needs to be done for the region.
Yeah, well, that last one is a really good one. And so let me address that first. The key difference to me, people say, well, I'm not sure you're ready for the politics that go with this kind of job. Well, that's a bunch of baloney. There are just as many politics in the corporate world as there are in a job like this. And I'm used to dealing with presidents of countries, energy ministers, all over the world. And so politics is certainly not new to me. And I'm a political science major.
There you go. Yeah.
So, I actually like politics. I think the key difference here is in the private sector, when you're working for a company, that company knows exactly where it wants to go and exactly what it wants to achieve. And you help set that agenda, you develop the strategy for it, and then you execute it. When you come into a community, one of the biggest challenges is determining what it is the community wants to do.
Right.
It's easy for the community to say, well, we want more jobs. Well, that doesn't mean much. What is it that you really want? What's your identity? What kind of jobs do you want? Are you prepared for those jobs? So at this point in my new job, I'm really just starting through that process. What is it that Owensboro-Davis County, the greater Owensboro area, really wants? And what is it that I'm supposed to be doing to execute what the community wants?
Right. No, I mean, that's a good point. And also in economic development, like, you've seen that over the time, that in order for Owensboro to succeed, or the Davis County to succeed, or even Grad to succeed, there has to be some sort of excitement for somebody to come to the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
Yeah.
So that means that Kentucky, in a sense, you play a role in helping the Kentucky to be more competitive, in the world as well, or in the nation for that matter. So if you look at that, I know it's you've been in this business, this job since October, so with your experience and everything else, what does the state of Kentucky got to be doing or not doing to be really competitive, within the surrounding states, or within other, like, international economic development, policies and all those things?
Yeah. Well, I'll be brutally honest. Kentucky is behind our neighbors. In many cases, we're badly behind our neighbors.
Means Tennessee,
Tennessee, Indiana. Those are our two primary competitors. In this area, it tends to be more Indiana. In other parts of Kentucky, it would tend to be Tennessee.
I see.
If you were in northeastern Kentucky, the competition would be Ohio or Pennsylvania or someplace like that. I pay a lot of attention to Tennessee because Tennessee is also a southern state, so it's much like us. We have very similar geography, very similar culture. Their public policy has been much more pro-growth than Kentucky's public policy, just to get directly to your point. And so Tennessee has benefited from at least 3 very strong, very pro-growth, pro-business governors. And they've put their money where their mouth is. They have taken public policy designed for economic development, and they've implemented it. And I think that's the key difference that you see between Tennessee and Kentucky. Now, Tennessee also has some other inherent advantages. It has Nashville, it has Memphis, it has the tourism in eastern Tennessee. It's got great interstate access. So people tend to look at those and say, well, of course Tennessee is doing better than us. It has all those things. But that's not the end of the story. The real story in Tennessee is its public policy.
I see.
And actually a good friend of mine is head of economic development for Memphis, and she and I have talked about this. And in her view, Kentucky has every advantage that Tennessee has. We have the logistics advantage that comes from being centrally located.
Right.
Western Kentucky actually has more flat land for development than Tennessee has. So the two states are very comparable. except for public policy. And that's really what it comes down to. So Kentucky, in order to be attractive to your first question, Kentucky is going to have to find a way to catch up with its neighbors, and it's going to have to do so with the current economic reality of our pension challenge that the governor has articulated very well. Whether you agree with his solution or not, I think everyone agrees we have a pension problem that needs to be addressed. That's going to cost money. That may make it more expensive to do business in Kentucky, which means we need to sell the other advantages of doing business in Kentucky, and there are some.
Right. You brought up the governor's, attempt to resolve the pension crisis and everything else. I think if you remember, when he was in town very recently, and he also talked about very similar about Tennessee and everything else.
Yeah.
But his comment was, which is kind of still stays in my mind, is that it wasn't too long ago when Tennessee and Kentucky were very similar, and everything else. But now, what I hear from his comments is that over and above the policy you talked about, that the Tennessee is almost 2 million more people than Kentucky. So that means they have grown that much. And in my conversation with your predecessor, Madison Silver, it's same thing about the population, because when I came in Owensboro in 1973, about 45 some years ago, our population hasn't grown much.
No.
Davis County, even Grad region at all. And everything we talk about has to be dealing with the people. So what do you think? What do you think? What can we do? To be more friendly enough to bring the people, because with other people you can't do economic development.
Well, we're plenty friendly.
Right.
The problem is we don't have enough warm bodies.
Right. Okay.
So that's the first problem. You've got the aging of the baby boomers. 10,000 baby boomers are dropping out of the workforce every single day.
Wow.
That's a staggering number. That means just to stay even, we have to replace those 10,000 workers as a nation. And so we have to replace our portion of that in this region. So that's the first problem. We don't have enough people. Where are you going to get more people? Well, you're only going to get them if your birth rate skyrockets. That's not going to happen. You get them through immigration. We see an administration right now which is talking about actually cracking down on immigration.
Right.
So we probably won't get it in this area from immigration. Or the third way is we attract people from other parts of the country to come here. In order to do that, we have to be more attractive than other parts of the country.
Right.
Which means those of us at the local level have to make sure that, for example, Owensboro is the most attractive city it can possibly be, which doesn't mean it has to be a world-class city. It doesn't have to be a Lexington. It just has to be a very good Owensboro. It has to be the best city Owensboro can be. And that's good enough.
Right.
Study after study shows that that's just good enough. Means paying attention to the education system, the quality of life, land use planning, the basics that people are looking for when they make a choice as to what community they want to live in. It also means not losing our college graduates. We have 3 colleges in this, 3 institutions of 3 four-year institutions in this community. We need to keep those graduates in this community. If they go away to Lexington, to UK, or to Bowling Green, to Western, we need to make sure they come back to Owensboro. And those who are here from other places and graduating from places like Brescia University, Kentucky Wesleyan, we need to keep them in the community. That's the way we achieve growth.
Mark, excellent point. In fact, you brought us some of the strength we have as a community and also some of the challenges that we face in Owensboro, Davis County, along with Kentucky and this region as well. So I would imagine that, even though I wish we had more time, but even though you brought up all those issues, and I would imagine that the Go EDC policies for the future would, at least attempt to address some of the issues that you brought up in your talk just today. So with that, I'm looking forward to maybe what are those and how you're going to tackle, and more importantly, how we as a grad can help you because for us, if the Owensboro and Davis County succeeds, the whole region succeeds.
Exactly.
So we want to thank you for being on the Grad Dialogue. Wish you best of luck. And also, again, one more time, thanks for coming back to Owensboro and also spending some time at Grad.
Thank you, Jiten.
Thank you. And we've been listening to Mark Snell and talking. He's the newest CEO of the Owensboro Davis County Go EDC, the Go EDC CEO. We talked about economic development, some of the challenges we face in Owensboro, along with the Grad region. If any question, you can always call me at the Grad office, or you can always contact Mark Snell at the EDC office. Again, thank you and have a great day. Hello and welcome to the Grad Dialogue. My guest today is Roxi Witt. Everybody knows Roxi. Roxi and River Park Center kind of go synonymous. Roxi is here to kind of celebrate the 25 years of the River Park Center. Wow, 25 years, Roxi.
It's amazing, isn't it, Jiten?
For those of you, and I should not be saying that because I do say all the time because I'm proud of her. Roxi was the Grad before she went to the River Park Center. And I just want to everybody remember that. So 25 years ago, Roxi, she considered that she had the dream job, as an executive director of the River Park Center, and she has worked there since it opened in 1992.
Exactly right.
And she has, in addition to that, she was known, and that's what we know a lot. She has all kinds of talents. She had a stage international bluegrass music award show, for almost 22 years. And also produce and stage manage a 6 theater workshop of Owensboro summer musicals. She also programmed and produced 2 Christmas productions, which were double cast with over 180 students each.
I think your kids were in.
Yes, I was going to say that. So that was South Pacific.
That's exactly
and that
right.
changed their life too. South Pacific, they remember that all the time. So the River Park Center has been celebrating 25th anniversary, and that's why we asked Roxi to kind of join us, kind of talk about this, Roxi. So welcome on the Grad Dialogue.
Oh, thanks very much,
25 years, Roxi.
So,
Wow.
yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So tell us, what do you think? This may kind of sound cliche, but what do you think the River Park Center has done, made an impact in Owensboro for the last 25 years?
It's hard to remember back 25
yeah.
years. One of our board members says, I can't remember before there was a River Park Center,
Right,
which
exactly.
is a nice
Yeah.
compliment. But if you remember a little bit, if you can dial back those years, downtown was pretty dead.
Yes.
And so we really believe, and one of the reasons that people gave until it hurt to help build the River Park Center was to help renovate and rejuvenate downtown. And so we're proud and think we're part of the catalyst, and certainly one of the bookends of the downtown's development. But beyond that, we've served over 4 million visitors in 25 years. 3,500 performances, and that's everything from the Florence Henderson and John Denver opening night, which was a pretty exciting night. More than pretty exciting, it was delightful.
But I think people forget that even though it was 25 years ago, and even though at that time we also had executive in too. So in spite of the executive, which was going to put the Owensboro on the map in the state.
Oh, it did.
River Park kind of, to me anyway, put an icing on the whole cake. With that, people came for the crown jewel to come down there.
That's
So,
right.
yeah.
That's right. And one of the things that separates us from what the executive inn was, what the convention center is,
Right.
is that we're for the community.
Right.
Now, that's not that we don't like to serve outside people, but it's the Owensboro Symphony Orchestra, the Owensboro Dance Theater. Those places,
Right.
those groups needed a really fine place to show off their talents.
Right.
And we hope River Park Center has provided that. And we've also had over 12,000 other events at our place over those 25 years. And I mean, that's everything from school breakfast for the school systems to graduations to proms. And we really, that's why I like our tagline, where memories are made, because that's what we're all
That's
about.
a great tagline. Yeah. And I think one thing I like about River Park Center, and then your leadership in that as well, is that you know, it's not the same same old. You know, there's always something happening, something new. You know, and then after a while, you guys find something different. You know, so I think that is kind of provides more reason for people to come down and attend those things. You know, so
Yeah. And we're very lucky in this community that people have found a lot of reasons and a lot of different uses for our facility because at various times, I was telling somebody the other day, the home builders had their home builders show at our place for a while.
Right.
When the executive inn was not there and the sports center didn't work for them. So we've done a lot of different things over
I
the
can
years.
you name and Taste of Owensboro used to be there.
Absolutely.
Cinco de Mayo. We just on and on. Let's talk about something that just recently, and this is a kind of the really people forget that the real value of the Park Center. Well, just this week, when I was in downtown, at some of the meeting, at the symphony, and I saw lines and lines of buses about to leave, and they were all coming from the River Park Center. So tell us about how the River Park Center connects to the young population of not only Owensboro but also surrounding counties.
Exactly, and that's an important point. We will bus 23,000 school kids in and out of River Park Center in any one school year. We've served over 800,000 school kids since we opened.
No. One more time.
800,000. Yes, sir. And on an annual basis, those kids come from 20 different counties. So that's Webster County, but it's also Perry County in Indiana. It's just wide ranging. Okay, besides Hancock and Ohio.
Why do they come to the River Park Center?
Well, because we have one of the strongest and most active educational programs of anybody. We really invest a lot of resources in making it easy for the schools. We make sure that all the shows are curriculum oriented, and it's everything from Charlotte's Web to today was How I Became a Pirate, and it goes into Harriet Tubman's The Underground Railroad, and just a variety of topics. And then our volunteers and our staff make it very easy and as quick to load and unload as we possibly can for the teachers and safe for the kids and all that stuff. So, and downtown's been, exceptional to work with us and, all that kind of stuff. But all that is critically important to the success of our program. And the school systems, while other places they say, our school systems, arts are the first things that are cut. Owensboro and Davis County schools have continued to stay focused on the arts, and I have to thank them. And we're in great partnership with them. So
and also, I think it's a very successful, like 800,000 students coming to the River Park Center, and all support from everybody else. Also, with the River Park Center as well, you thanking the school systems, and I would also add to that, Roxi, if I may, the local community itself, even the cities and county, the government, agencies have continually supported, the River Park Center to what it is.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing about River Park again that separates it from a lot of other places and entities, is that it's been supported from the grassroots, from the ground up. And people gave until it hurt, and that included governments. And we do continue to get support from the city of Owensboro, from Davis County Fiscal Court, from this Commonwealth. And that money is critically important, as you well know.
And it's like anything good thing you do, there is always a naysayers as well. And when I remember the time the River Park Center wasn't the construction or got the funding, and there was a lot of naysayers, and can we find some other use and everything else. I think people can see the return on investment is just, you can't even compare, I mean, you can't even think about Owensboro without a River Park Center.
Well,
and not just because you were on the show, we were talking about it too.
Well, it's still a great place to come to work every day. I can tell you that. And one of the things that I love about my job is that I get to give a lot of tours, and whether it's somebody that might be looking at the community for a job, and they come through River Park, and it's interesting to see the place through their eyes, and wow, I didn't know Owensboro would have a place like this. I can't imagine a city this size having a beautiful facility like this. And and I don't say that to be cocky at all. But again, it's
Right,
because of
right.
the community.
Right.
We had the largest capital campaign ever for a nonprofit at the time when we opened River Park. And
It's always, always nice to start something big, something great, something exciting, but to have a 25 years of history, and also, let me put it, also, the way it is maintained. You could go now at the River Park Center today, and it looks like it is not. You don't see the 25 years of weathering and all that. I think that took a lot of volunteers, a lot of time, a lot of resources, a lot of leadership on your part too. So I think that, that is important to point out as well. So,
well,
yeah.
and we really appreciate that, and it's really important that we keep the doors open and that it still be accessible to everybody. And we have programs that folks that might not have money to come see a show, that one time a year they can come and pay whatever they can. Those are programs that are really important to us. Our school programs, we never turn away a child because of an inability to pay. And those are just hallmarks of our operations, because it is a community facility, and we believe so much that everybody needs to be involved.
And how much do you think that the River Park Center has contributed or does contribute directly or indirectly on the economic development piece of the Owensboro?
Well, it's honestly, it's probably $5 million a year, because our budget is $2.4 million, and so when you turn over those dollars, and we have a relatively small staff, but at the same time, it's still over $500,000, and then we have shows like Motown that were here that
Right.
spent 2 weeks here. And they had hotel rooms and had to eat, and they spent over $100,000 on labor.
So I have to stop the Motown show.
Yes, sir.
It's like the 42nd Street Broadway that was done in the past.
That's
Those
correct.
were built all
Correct.
in Owensboro. So can you
Correct.
comment on that? Because that has a lot of impact on economic development.
It really does. They come and they do the first time that the cast sees their set. The first time it's put together is on our stage. The first time that the lights are hung. The first time that the orchestra is there. The first time that the cast puts on their costumes. It's at our theater. And then they rehearse that last week and work out all the kinks, we hope, before our audiences see that show for the very first time. And that's an exciting performance, let me
Before
assure
they
you.
go all around the world.
Correct. National tours, national and international, both. Yeah.
That's amazing. That is something that you should be really proud. Now, let's talk about the 25 years. You got 25 years of great, successful history. Artistically, the community-wide, and also the financially as well, because you're still in existence. I'm sure you've been thinking about what I'm going to be next 25 years. What do you think is going to be the next 25 years?
Well, it is a challenge, but we hope, I think more than anything else, that one, that we can even solidify our foundation in terms of money. One way we're hoping to do that is when the Bluegrass Museum opens and our friends down the street move out, that we can repurpose that building
I see.
and make some money for the center, because we need it. Your ticket price almost always just barely covers the actual cost of the show. Utilities are not covered. Insurance isn't covered. Some of the other administrative costs are not covered. So we have to raise that with other funds. So we need all that help, and of course, keeping the building up after 25 years, as you mentioned, is a challenge. But beyond that, some of the other parts of that building and the other thoughts are trying to expand our educational program and even expand into some adult kind of educational things, helping business people relate better to each other. And sometimes you can do that through acting and through, those kinds of exercises.
So a lot of things to look forward to. But I think it's for the audience also not to forget that, if you think all those things are great, we are proud of River Park Center, being in Owensboro, please, help us in terms of the either Friends of the River Park Center campaign or even a capital campaign. Why don't you have it?
Exactly,
Because I
exactly.
think it is a community asset.
It really, really is, and people continue to give, and I say that, but
Right.
and I mean that, and they advertise in our magazine,
Right,
and they,
right.
buy tickets and all of those things. We try to make giving easy, and you can make monthly gifts, you can make annual gifts, but we're always open, certainly.
Roxi, thank you. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks, Jiten.
Congratulations on 25 years, and also best of luck for the next 25.
I hope we're both still here.
You are right there. I've been talking to Roxi Witt about the River Park Center, about celebrating the 25th anniversary of the River Park Center. And also, if you would like to get more information on the River Park Center, please go on their website, as Roxi indicated. And if you would like to help us out, the Friends of the River Park Center or any kind of campaign, because it all takes volunteers and resources. So please do so. And if any questions, you can always call me. Thank you very much. Have a great day.